Hey, good morning. Welcome to church. We're so glad you're here. My name is Hannah.
And I'm Rick.
And we are going to be your online pre-show host today.
Yes, super excited.
And yeah, if maybe this is the first time you're watching, we want you to know that Living Water, this is what we're about. We are real people living relevant lives, relentlessly pursuing new life in Christ.
Right.
Yeah, so that's some things that are super important to us, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but as we get started this morning, we need to know, do you have a cup of coffee in your hand as you're watching? We got coffee drinkers out there?
Hey, show us in the comments. If you're drinking a coffee right now, put it in the comments saying drinking it and what you're drinking.
Oh yeah, what you're drinking, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you like your coffee?
Okay, so I'm super boring, and for me, dark roast black.
Dark roast black.
That's
okay.
it. That's it. What about you?
I kind of like some iced coffee. Can't
Okay,
go wrong.
okay.
Totally always
I
iced
get
coffee.
that. I get that.
Okay, but you know there's a little bit of controversy right now.
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
Okay, pumpkin spice. Is it time for pumpkin spice or is it too early?
That's a great question. That's a great question. What do y'all think? Is it too early?
Yeah, too early for pumpkin spice? I don't know. Let us know. Please put that in the comments below.
Please.
What you're drinking and if it's acceptable to drink a pumpkin spice right now. All right, but also a couple things that Living Water's about. We are about, let's see, some of our codes. Grace is a guarantee. God's not done. Don't do life alone. I love that one. And what other one are we really excited about?
We are really excited about the one that says that we are driven by new life, which basically just means, Hannah, that everything we do is always driven towards pushing people to growth in the relationship with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because of that, October 4th, we have an amazing day planned called New Life Sunday, where we're going to be doing baptisms. It's going to be a huge celebration. I love those days.
Yeah. And what's cool is that maybe you've been watching online and you're like, man, I am really growing a lot right now and I really need to tell my story. Maybe you've never been inside our building. This might be the time where you're being nudged to share your story. Please do that. And how can they get connected with us?
Honestly, the best way to do it is to download our app.
Yeah.
You can just do that by going to the App Store. You can just type in LW Church, download that, and you can get connected and just really get to know a little bit more about us. So if you go down, you hit connect, fill that out. We want to get to know you a little bit more. And also, if you're interested in getting baptized, you can do that by just going down to say, I want to get baptized, and fill that out. Super easy process.
Yep, for sure. Okay, guys, I'm so excited. There's a lot of coffee drinkers this morning.
We have Tracy A. Easter is saying drinking a hot cup of tea, cream, and sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a tea
some
drinker.
Cold brew.
Cold brew going on.
We got a no to pumpkin spice. Let's see what else we got.
Clint is saying that pumpkin spice is much too sweet. Yes, Clint, I agree. Totally agree with you. It's good.
Oh, yeah. We got another cold brew. We got a lot of cold brew drinkers this morning.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Okay, so I have something really exciting to announce.
What's that?
Guys, you're looking at our brand new online campus pastor, Mr. Rick Lane.
Thank you.
So what that means is Rick is going to be connecting with everyone who's watching online, which is super exciting. And why did you want to do this? Like, why was this role important to you?
Honestly, you just said it. Just this idea of connecting with people. There's a lot of people that are a little curious about church, but maybe would never step foot in the door. And what's cool about the online campus is that you have that opportunity now to just connect with God. And I am excited to just connect with you and just get to know you a little bit more. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the most thing that it's got me jacked the most, honestly.
And so maybe you don't really know Rick. I need you to know that Rick loves to read books.
It's true.
So
it's true.
I did ask him for the month of August, how many books do you think Rick read? I need to know in the comments. I need a number, like 27, 5, 6. I need to know, how many books do you think Rick read? In the meantime, though, while you're answering that question, what's a book you recommend right now?
Ooh. Honestly, right now, a book that I just finished reading is called Better Together, and I was trying to figure out who the author was. I can't remember, but just look up and we'll post it somehow. But Better Together, it's a book about community, but it addresses it from just those questions that we know we need to be in community, but we're scared to death of it. So he addresses those types of fears and stuff. It's a really great read, guys. Great read.
Yeah. Okay, so we got how many books? 37, 19, 4, 18. Oh, Allison guessed 3. Michael guessed 4. Oh, man, I'm telling you guys, Rick loves to read.
I just want to give you guys props for giving me these high numbers. Thank you. Like, you are now my favorite people.
Yes. Okay, so how many books did you read in the month of August?
I have to give props to Miss Allison because she answered correctly with 3.
3.
3, yes. So we're doing a virtual fist bump, Allison.
Yes.
So, yes, 3 books this
Cool.
month. Yep.
Awesome. And how many have you read so far in September? Have you started?
I am starting one, and I'm honestly just doing some fiction. I'm just
Aw,
taking
that's
a break,
okay. You're allowed to do that.
enjoying some, so.
Good. Well, okay, we love to have you guys comment on our posts. And what you need to know is that there is a host there, and please interact with them. They are there to connect with you. And one thing that's really cool is that they want to be there to pray for you too. If there's something specific going on, please let them know. They will pray over you, pray for what's going on in your life. And I think that's a really cool avenue that we get to utilize on this platform.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, cool. All right, so the other thing you need to know is that our kids are back, right?
Yes.
And that's super fun to have them in the building, but maybe your kids are still at home watching too. One really cool aspect we have here is called www.lwchurch.com/Kids Live, and there are 3 different services. So there's like a preschool, early elementary, and older elementary, and so there's tons of cool things for your kids. And if you're anything like my kids, they watch all 3. So yes, please utilize that. Your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah. And another thing, just to plug in, guys, with the opportunities that we have for kids, we have for students, but we also have for you watching this. And the best way to really connect with that is, again, our LW app. There you can get messages, you can take notes, you can catch messages from before. Definitely do yourself a favor. It's free, and you get to know a lot about who we are as a church.
Yeah, any events coming up, that app.
Absolutely.
It's totally worth it.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, we still got guesses going on. 45 books.
45. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you.
I love it so much. Yeah. Okay, so as we're getting ready for worship, I'm giving you a little sneak peek, but I need to know what worship song are you most excited to hear this morning? Okay, so the first one is Graves in the Garden, or Death Arrested, or Goodness of God.
Those are good ones.
Okay, which one would you pick?
I'm really digging Goodness of God right now. I gotta be honest with you. That's my jam right now.
That's
yours? Yeah.
Okay.
What about yours?
Oh, I think I'm really enjoying Graves in the Garden right now.
It's a good one.
Head bumping.
Get it going. Get that adrenaline going.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I love
What are we loving online? Which song are you guys most excited to hear this morning?
Yes,
we
comment.
We want to know.
Yes, let us know. Let us know.
Yes.
So, hey, guys, one last thing we want you to be aware of is giving. We can only do what we do with your support, and there's an easy way to do that. You can give through the app. You can send check through mail, or the easiest way is to just text them out to 84321. So, yeah.
Please do that. Yeah, we love for you. Okay, so we got Goodness of God, Goodness of God. Oh, man, that must be a popular one.
That's a popular one.
All right, we'll see. What else we got?
Okay. Lots of Goodness of God going on right now. I love it. All right.
Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been super fun. I hope that you guys will get to know Rick a little bit better, and we'll keep having him up here so you guys get to know him and see his face. And we're going to get ready to worship.
Let's get our worship on, y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good morning. We'll see you soon.
Search the world, but it couldn't fill me. And man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. Is now satisfied, oh, here in your love. Lord, there's nothing is better than you. There's nothing better than, no, there's nothing, oh, there's nothing, and nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing, you turn beauty for ashes, you turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn crazy into golden. You turn bones into worries. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who alone in my sorrow and dead in my sin, lost without hope with no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested, my life began. And ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. And my orphan heart was given a name. My mourning grew quiet, my fear rose to dance. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Released from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was a ransom he faithfully bore. And he canceled my debt and he called me his friend. When death was arrested, my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross, and darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. When death was arrested and my life began. That's when death was arrested and my life began.
We've spent the last month digging into the book of Hosea, and in case you haven't been with us, it's really a story of two parallel plot lines. On one hand, we have the story of Hosea, who experiences heartbreak and frustration and humiliation from the fact that he marries a woman who was previously a prostitute. And throughout their whole relationship, she continues to choose on multiple occasions to return to that lifestyle. And at the same time, this story is mirroring a much larger story about the nation of Israel and about how they have chosen to be unfaithful to God and how on many occasions they have traded worship with Him for anything else that comes along. And to be honest, it's not really a pretty tale. There's not a lot of glamorous things in it. In fact, even after Hosea and his wife Gomer get back together, we don't really know how the rest of the story unfolds for them. But we focused primarily on their relationship the last few weeks. But I want to move beyond Gomer and Hosea. And instead I want to talk about God and those He desires to be in relationship with, to call His people. And ultimately, I want to talk about you and me. Because while it's true that God will do anything to bring us home again, and we're certainly grateful for that, sometimes we don't choose to come home. And sometimes we wander off again. Several years ago, my wife and our kids went to IKEA with our neighbor and her kids. And if you've ever spent any time in IKEA, you know that it's intentionally set up as this maze-like route between thousands of products that are spread out over 2 stories of a massive warehouse space. And at the time, my son Micah was about 4 years old, and for a moment, he became captivated with something that he saw in the store, and he wandered off to go get a closer look. Long story short, he kept wandering, and he wasn't noticed right away as being missing. So eventually, my wife Beth panicked with a lost child in a massive store. Now, I tell you that story because I think we're all a little guilty of wandering at times. And I don't just mean physically. I mean, some of you may have been that kid when you were growing up, but I mean that spiritually. That we all have a little of my son Micah in us. And that we all have a little Gomer in us. See, the last chapter of the book of Hosea records the prophet making one final plea with the people of Israel, telling them to come back to God. And he tells them, This is how you should act, and this is what you should say when you come back. And he tells them how eager God is to want to respond to them. In the book of Hosea, chapter 14, he says this. He says, "Return, Israel, to the Lord your God. Your sins have been your downfall. Take words with you and return to the Lord." That's an interesting statement. Take words with you. It implies that some preparation is needed. It implies that some forethought has gone into this. In fact, the way it is written in Hebrew says to speak in realities. I love that. And what he's saying is don't try and sugarcoat anything. Don't try and beat around the bush. Be real. Admit to God what has led you astray. Be specific. One of the things I love about the way my wife parents is whenever my kids do something wrong, they get in a fight or whatever, and it's time for them to apologize. They're like most kids, and when it's time to say I'm sorry, they want to just be like, "I'm sorry," and go on with life. But my wife has always, since they were little, forced them to do a little bit more than that. She forces them to not only say I'm sorry, but to then answer the statement, "I'm sorry for," and then to fill in the blanks. And she requires them to articulate, whether it's to each other or to one of us, to articulate what it is that they've done wrong. To be specific. And Hosea does the same thing. He says, listen, say to God in verse 2, say to him, "Forgive all of our sins and receive us graciously, that we may offer the fruit of our lips. Assyria cannot save us. We will not mount war horses. We will never again say our gods to what our own hands have made. For in you the fatherless find compassion." So he gives them an example of what to say. He says, say, "Forgive us." Tell him that we've trusted in the wrong things, that we've given our attention, that we've given our affection to the wrong things. And then he helps them with some very specific things that they're guilty of. He says, confess that Assyria cannot save us. This refers to the fact that they had hoped that maybe they could have some partnership or some treaty with Assyria, when in fact God was going to allow Assyria to come and beat the snot out of them. But what is he doing? He's asking them to confess that our hope is not in other people. And then he says, say, we will not mount our war horses. This is a reference to a fact that they're talking about their own military strength. And he says, confess to God that our own strength is insufficient. And then he says, be honest about the fact that the things that you are worshiping as gods are things that you've made with your own hands. And they can never adequately replace God. See, these problems are innately systemic to our sinful nature. In fact, maybe 100% of our sin comes from chasing one of these three things. Can someone else make me happy? Can I do it myself? Can this thing ease my pain or my conscience? And our sin takes us on a cycle of a fleeting chase of over and over again seeking those things and asking those questions. See, oftentimes in reality, sin is our attempt to meet a real need the wrong way. We look to meet a real need with other things or through other people or in ourselves alone because we have failed to look deep enough at who Jesus is and what God has to offer. And so our confession isn't just, this is what I've done wrong, or this is what has led me astray, this is what I've chased after. Our confession is really that we have missed the fact that in him the fatherless find compassion, that our needs are ultimately met in Christ alone. 6 years ago, when I began working with the student ministry, I met a young lady, and I want to give you a chance to hear from her what this journey has looked like in her life. Take a look.
I am Emily, and I'm 22 years old. When I was 3 years old, my mom passed away from breast cancer. And so that left me with my single dad and my two older sisters. My sisters were very much older than me, so they went away to college, and it left me with my single dad, who then a couple years down the road got married. So I was living with my dad and my stepmother. That situation was just very messy and not healthy. I was never physically abused or anything, but very emotionally abused, and I didn't know it because I was so young. So eventually, just because of brokenness and family situations, my dad gave up custody of me, and my oldest sister and her husband legally adopted me when I was 9 years old. After I got adopted by them, I was just very confused and didn't really enjoy it. I was very angry and very mean to them. I acted out a lot, and I was just angry at the world, I guess. And so then a couple years later, I think I was in 8th grade, my uncle, who was like a dad growing up to me, he passed away from cancer. And then a year after that, my grandpa passed away from cancer. So it was just a lot at once, and I kind of just gave up. I didn't really want anything to do with God anymore because his plans seemed very mean and harsh and not good. And so I just gave up, and I started doing life my own way. So yeah, my freshman year of high school, I kind of started straying away big time. I started getting into just unhealthy relationships with multiple people. I started just making the wrong friends, sneaking out of my house, just doing all kinds of crazy things that I was raised to never do. I just wanted to do everything in spite of God. So my parents soon found out that I was on the wrong track and making the wrong friends and just doing things that were not healthy for me. And they would sit me down and just tell me, this isn't you, this isn't right. Basically, God loves you and you are ruining your life right now with your choices. And of course, I didn't want to hear that. I thought I knew what was best for myself. So that whole time in high school, I was involved in worship band and youth group here at Living Water. And so eventually it came to a point when my parents were like, you're living 2 different lives, and if you don't quit, we're gonna tell your youth pastor. And I was very upset, but I had a conversation with him, and it was like the best conversation I've ever had in my life. He basically sat me down and just said, I understand why you're acting this way, and I understand that your earthly father wasn't the best, but God really loves you, and you are special, and you're worth so much more than what you're doing with your life right now.
I think that there are a number of people who have found themselves at a crossroads very similar to Emily. That there are some things that are happening in your life that you know are pulling you in a direction away from God, yet at the same time, you're not quite sure you can give them up. And we're trying to meet a real need the wrong way. But see, I've sat in her corner for years, and I know that there were a lot of unmet needs in her past. And I know that many of the choices that she made were the result of trying to meet needs the wrong way. And she may be sharing some of those hurts in a video with a smile on her face, but I know her well enough to know that smile is only there to keep her from crying. And what makes the rest of chapter 14 so important is that we get to hear from God. We get to hear his response to this. We get to see more clearly what it is that we're invited into. He says in verse 4, I will heal their waywardness and love them freely, for my anger has turned away from them. Notice that he says, I will heal their waywardness. Not just I will forgive it, not just I will pardon it. It doesn't just say that God sees our wandering sinfulness as a legal transgression against him. It is, but it's more than that. In his eyes, as much as it is a crime, it is a disease, and he wants to heal us from it. That God is offering a transformation, a change, not just an adjustment, but a radical change, a change that is in our heart and that is miraculous through the power of Jesus. So listen, I don't care if your story of wandering is one that has happened in a single moment or one that's happened over several years. I don't care if this is the first time or just the first time today. The secret to finding a way back from our wandering begins with trusting that what you are given in Jesus is way greater than what you're giving up. That God's grace doesn't just end with him taking away our sin. His grace includes everything he wants to give us in return. And Hosea uses some very poetic words and descriptions in the next few verses, and you can read through them on your own. I just want to sort of summarize what he says about the goodness of God, what it looks like. He says that refreshment will be provided. He compares himself to the dew, the sustaining water that is new for us, that sustains us each and every day. He says beauty is given. He says you will grow like the lily. It was considered the most beautiful flower. That he doesn't look at us and see the mess. He doesn't look at us and see the condemnation of our sin. He looks and he sees beauty. He says strength is rebuilt. He compares it to the cedar trees of Lebanon. These trees were known for having roots that would go as deep down into the ground as the tree would grow up, which would make them incredibly immovable. He said your growth will be restored. That young shoots will start bursting forth from the branches. That their influence would be reestablished, that they would begin to have impact again on people around them, that their branches would begin to spread. He says our value will be reinstated. He compares it to the splendor of an olive tree. Olive trees were incredibly valuable because the fruit, the olive, could be used for so many different things. It was a precious commodity, incredibly valuable. His delight in us would be restored. He says it's like a fragrance in his nose. That our abundance would be replenished. We would be revived like grain, that we would grow like a vine. He says all of these things, and then he gets to verse 8. And I want you just to read on your own verse 8. Because in verse 8, God makes a final plea through Hosea. And he says, listen, those idols are a dead end. All those things. The job you're chasing after, the money you want so desperately, the security that you think will bring you comfort, the reputation that you strive for so much, the acceptance that you want to have through this relationship, all of those things are a dead end. And he says, I will answer you. I will care for you. All of your fruit comes from me. Everything that you need comes from me. I want to go back to Emily's story so that you can hear a little more about how God is winning out over time in her life.
I decided then that I wanted to get baptized and I wanted to change my life. And I did. My senior year, I got baptized here at Living Water, and it was like the best day of my life. I was so excited, just so happy to start over and have a fresh start. Yeah, and it was really good. And then the next year was my freshman year of college, and it seemed like everything that I was doing differently just flipped. Like I fell right back into what I was doing before very easily. And it was really hard and it was really frustrating because I didn't understand. I thought after you got baptized, you'd be perfect and that nothing would be hard anymore, that you wouldn't struggle, you wouldn't sin as much. I know you'd still sin, but it was just hard after partying and just having more boyfriends, having more, I don't know, just making very unhealthy choices. I decided, okay, I'm done with this again. This is terrible. I feel just sad all the time. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm keeping secrets from my friends, from my family. I need to change. So I looked into missions instead of going to college, and I signed up for YWAM. And so I went to Mexico for 3 months and Peru for 2 months and did a discipleship training program. And that was the best time of my life. It taught me so much about God. I was surrounded by Christians every single day who were just pushing me towards God and having a relationship with him. And so for that whole time there, I was sober from everything. I felt really good. I was just on fire, and I was so ready to come back and just show everyone that I had changed. And I just wanted to be a light to everyone around me. But when I got back home, I had changed, but nothing here had changed, and it was just really hard once again. So it's just a repeating pattern of going back and forth. I still struggle a lot, and it's hard, like cutting off old relationships that it's hard cutting off people who you really care about, but knowing that they aren't healthy for your walk with God. Throughout this time of going away from God, coming back, going away, coming back, it seems like he has always been there, still providing for me. Recently I was looking for somewhere to live, and it was coming down to my, the very end of my lease, and I was like, I have no idea where I'm gonna go. I might just have to live out of my car. I don't really know. And it's like at the last second, he like throws something at me and is like, here, this is where you're to go. And he's done that with so many things in my life, like a job. He'll give me new friends when I pray for them. He's always there giving to us, no matter how much we take from him and how much we use him. He's just, I don't know, he's just really good. It's like he always wants the best for us. And I'm learning that he's not mean, and he's not trying to ruin our lives with all these rules or anything. It's really just because he really cares for us, and he really doesn't want us to be hurting and to be lost. He wants us to come to him.
So the book of Hosea ends with one last verse, one last question from God. And he says, who is wise? Let them realize these things. Who is discerning? Let them understand that the ways of the Lord are right, and the righteous walk in them, but the rebellious stumble in them. He says it's up to you. Who is wise? Who is discerning? Who's going to realize this? Realize what? Realize that there is a path of life, and it is the righteousness of God. And the reality is, though, that you can choose to allow that to be a path that causes you to draw closer to him, or you can choose to allow that a path that keeps you stumbling over and over. It's why one person can get cancer and draw close to God while another walks away from him. It's how someone can lose a job and yet learn to trust God more while someone else becomes bitter. It's why one person can be hurt in a relationship and yet still choose reconciliation even though another chooses revenge. There's a righteous response and there's a rebellious one. So who are you wanting to be? Who are you choosing to be? And you might be saying, well, I know who I want to be. I know what I want, but there's still all this temptation that gets in the way. Listen, I get that. I get that like Emily, God's healing sometimes comes over a long period of time. But I need you to understand that victory for you is maybe a lot closer than you think. In fact, that's what makes the next series we're going to be doing so important. It's a series called Overcome, about getting out of sin, to help to learn to find freedom from the things that have been holding you back for years. Because the reality is that God will do anything to bring you home. And he's calling you to walk with him. And he can empower you to stay there day after day.
your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am in, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am in, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, surrender now, I give you. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, surrender now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am in, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am in, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore. For in this days we will sing your praise. Oh Lord our God. Just lift your voice. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore.
In John 7, Jesus says, "Let anyone who is thirsty come to me and drink." Anyone who's thirsty, come to me and drink. Man, have you been so thirsty that you just are dying to have a drink? Or has your life been just full of some like chaos and hurt right now? Have you been going through some really tough things? Well, Jesus says, if you're thirsty, if you're hurting, if you're in these places, come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me will have rivers of living water flowing within them. Today, if you want to put your trust in Jesus, if you want to say, I want to have that living water, that freshness, and follow after Jesus, man, this is that moment. This is that time. Right now in the comments, wherever you're at, just say, that's me. I want to follow after Jesus. And we want to get in touch with you. So make sure that you reach out to one of our hosts right now and just let them know that you made a choice to follow after Jesus and start to live this life that's all about freedom. That's all about hope and liberty. Man, okay, so today was a great Sunday. I'm so excited. This has been like one of my favorite series that we've done as a church. Just hearing that story of Hosea and Gomer. And I'd love to hear from you guys. If this has been impacting you, drop that in the comments below. Or, you know what, if you have a chance, get connected with our church, okay? You can go to lwchurch.com/connect, fill out a connect card, and I'll tell you what, for this month, we've been giving away $10 to an organization called Life Water. If it's your first time filling out a Connect card with us, we're going to give $10 to that organization. And they are all about going into like these remote places and building wells for people who don't even have drinking water. So today, go and fill out a Connect card, lwchurch.com/connect, and we're going to give $10 to that organization. Giving is a central part of our faith because it's about giving back what God has already given to us. And so today, if you want to start down that journey, maybe you haven't started down that journey, go to lwchurch.com/give and start to investigate what it looks like to give sacrificial, because it's a form of worship. It's a form of giving honor to God and saying, this is not mine. It doesn't belong to me. I want to give it back. And lastly today, guys, I'm looking forward because next week is a new series, and it's all about overcoming the sins that are in our lives and overcoming that and beating it and laying it to rest. So join us next week, and see you later.